Welcome back to the OKC Foodcast, your guide to the food in Oklahoma. And I'm joined by two special guests today, Talya and Chef Wyatt with Okana. And we'll talk about Okana and them in here in a little bit. But before we get started, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Walt 405, for sponsoring the pod and giving us this great studio to record in. If you're looking for a co-working space here in downtown Edmond, look no further than Walt 405. Hey, how are y'all doing?
Great.
Fantastic. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming on. Talya,
Yes.
Senior Marketing Director at Okana, and Chef Wyatt,
Yes, sir.
the Executive Chef at
Yep.
Okana across all its food outlets.
The one and only.
And there are many food outlets at Okana.
7 to 10. And, we opened 7 in about 2 months, and then we opened the rest throughout the rest of the year, this past year. And not stopping yet.
So there's more in the works.
Just more in development always.
Okay. Oh, that's exciting. So maybe we'll get some inside scoops on this. Okay. Before we dive into all of that, favorite thing you ate this week?
Can I be partial?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, self-noms with that. That's a guest proclaimed term which I've taken on now is always appreciated.
we work with a lot of J1 culinary students.
Okay.
We usually bring a lot of people in. This time we have a group from Peru, some groups from Malaysia. Previous ones were from the Philippines and things like that. What I like to do whenever I bring them in is just try to get them used to the situation or used to the culture around the business and around what their new experience is, because these people they come to experience, the American experience and things like that. Sorry, I'm coughing a lot.
You heard me in the start.
But we like to kind of, introduce them to the kitchen and, get them feeling comfortable by creating something that they make at home. So I have this Malaysian student, his name is La, and he surprised me just 2 days ago, and he goes, "Chef, I made you something." So obviously I get kind of, my ears perk up and I look at my chefs around and they're just like, go try this. So I walk into my office and I have a bowl of his family recipe of ramen, essentially. I'm not going to try and butcher what he told me it was, but it was the most fantastic dish I've ever had. Or in regards to someone with very minimal experience providing or presenting something to me, all the notes were there. It was spicy enough, and I'm a big spice guy.
Okay.
To the point to where I kind of got a little overeager at the end of the dish, and I took the bowl, picked it up, and started trying to finish it.
That says something.
One of my chefs is trying to talk to me, and I make the mistake of breathing while drinking, choke, on the spot. So nothing in regards to anything crazy, just the fact that this passionate kid came in, wanted to make something, and it was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's the proper way to do ramen is you gotta drink
authentic.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it was fantastic. I was making the noises and everything.
Awesome. Well, maybe that'll come on the menu. No.
You never know. We have Kaya, so.
Yeah.
Okana's getting a ramen spot soon.
Well, we already have one.
No, we actually are. That's one of our new offerings upstairs in our Asian,
no way.
our Asian concession restaurant. Yeah.
Okay.
In the water park.
Yeah,
Okay.
We went from yakitori skewers to serving ramen that's made from scratch.
Nice.
And it's great. This kid's paled in comparison. We had to send him up to start giving some notes to the other guys. But yeah, absolutely.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
For me, locally, my favorite bite lately has been at Malfi.
Okay.
The fried eggplant and zucchini with the lebne. I could eat that forever. I mean, it's the perfect combination of that fried crispiness with, you still get some vegetables in there, and the creaminess of the lebne. You squeeze some lemon on top. It just hit all the notes.
I still haven't had a chance to make it out to Malfi yet, but I've just heard really good things from everyone. So
yeah, it's well done.
Yeah. Mine is also, well, yours wasn't technically a self-nom because you didn't make it and eat it.
No, just partial because he's part of the team.
Right. Mine is kind of something that I made and ate. This was actually yesterday. A friend and I are thinking about doing a pop-up on St. Patty's Day, and we're going to do spice bags.
Okay.
Which is an Irish street food, which I'd learned about, never had, never made. And so I was telling him about it because I've been doing a few pop-ups, some street food pop-ups, and we experimented, and it was pretty good.
I'm going to have to try some of that. I spent 2 years in Ireland whenever I was getting my start.
Oh, boy.
And spent many nights on the street and had a good taste of Irish cuisine.
Okay.
Traditional Irish cuisine.
Okay. I'm going to get schooled if you try this. Okay, next we're actually thinking about doing another test in February, so I'll let you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, would love to.
Cool. But yeah, so that was great. And for someone who doesn't know what a spice bag is, maybe you should tell them what it is.
Listen, my experience with spice bags, I was probably not in a position. I could probably explain them more after a couple of drinks, and a little bit more romanticized. But from my experience, it is a surprising amount of flavor and a very small amount of I don't know, presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also asking the guy, it's been 10 years since I've been there. So my memory of the spice bag is probably different from what you've been able to produce. But I do remember it very well, especially running around with the guys. Those guys, back then I was a little more, how do you say, hesitant to try new things. You know, I'm born and bred in Oklahoma, moved to Ireland and, you know, immersed myself in an entirely different culture. The safest thing that I could try was the potatoes and, you know, any kind of hangover breakfast. But there would be nights where I would just be walking down the streets and, you know, my friends would be throwing euros in my face or, you know, doing something like that. And then it's all a blur in the end.
Sounds like it was fun, though.
But it reminded me, what you just mentioned reminded me, and it opened up a memory in my head where I'm like, I got to get back to that. Let me see if there's a way we can formulate that. But,
yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong from your romanticized memory, but just fried chicken, fries, some sort of spice, and a curry sauce usually, or a chili sauce.
Yeah, tossed in chili sauce. Yeah, and it's typically the chili sauce is actually more like, it does bring the heat, but there's enough acid, and from my experience, there's enough acidity and there's enough sweetness in there that kind of mask it until you try to breathe. And then once you try to breathe, like, oh, there's a lot. There's actually a lot more going on here. But that's what I really enjoyed, those kind of intense flavors where you're trying to get the flavor of something, you're trying to satiate something, and you're picking out notes of brown sugar, you're picking out notes of soy, you're picking out notes of rice vinegar and some things of that like. But then as soon as you're ready to take a drink, you're like, oh my God, what was that? Is that jalapeno? Or what kind of pepper is that? Now my nose is running, thank God. Thank God I was stuffed up before this, you know?
Yeah, it helps.
That's the silver lining of it, is always eat spicy whenever you're stuffed. But,
that's right.
But no, for me, it's simple street food that's been expanded like that. It tells a very long story, but it's also kind of a fun one because it's typically come from somebody who probably didn't have the money to make something extravagant. Probably didn't have the skill set to make something, you know, overly incredible. But that wasn't what they were going for. They were going for something that tastes good, something that you know, could let them prolong their night if they needed to. Yeah. And carry on with their friends and so on. Yeah. Which for me, that's one of my favorite cuisines. It's something I can make quick. If we're having a good time, we're having a couple drinks, make it quick, pass it down the bar. Everyone takes a bite, pass it back, and it's an empty dish. Yeah. You know you did well.
Yeah, that's right. And that type of spice where you taste it, but you get the other flavors. I mean, I love spice as well, but not when it's just burning your mouth.
There's always that guy who's like, oh, I can make that, you know, I can. You better be careful of whatever I can make because it's going to be so spicy, it's going to, you know, melt your face off. Cool, we can do that. It's impressive if you can build some complexity in what you're trying to give me, though. I want the spice that, yes, you know, makes me sweat in the building and whatnot, but I want to be able to taste the notes of sweetness. I want to taste the notes of the specific spices, not just the cayenne dumping and say, or the atomic bomb or whatever they have, whatever the fads are out there these days, where everyone's just trying to make things spicy to, you know, make people freak out. There's more complexity, and it's also built in the cultures of a lot of these cuisines as well. Is like, you know, a lot of Indian culture isn't trying to make the spiciest curry. It's just they're using these ingredients that have been given to them and combining what they can to create something that's not just edible but also pleasant to eat. Yeah. And, you know, you spend 500 years around that one dish, you get all these different elements of that dish or different, you know, characters of that dish. And some people are like, oh, this is too spicy for me. But if to the untrained palate, it may be too spicy. But to someone who's like genuinely a foodie or genuinely someone who just appreciates food and its history, you get to taste it and you kind of get to be that person who says, I can detect this, and this, and this, and this is what makes it all amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, spice is kind of a tolerance thing, right? Yeah. Like the more you eat it, the more used to it you get. So, yeah. So, all right. Actually, now, curiosity question. What's the spiciest thing at Okana? Ooh, that's a great question. Oh, man. Well, honestly, I know I was just talking a lot of crap about hot sauce, but something I put on is, I'm a victim of my own success in this area. Is we put on, a mimic of the Hot Ones take from YouTube.
Heck yeah.
Where we were offering a challenge at our newest concept, Bullseye. And the challenge is if you can eat, a dozen wings with the bomb hot sauce that they pull from YouTube, within 4 minutes, you get a free shirt, a plaque, a frosted mug, and so on. We have some goodies for them.
Nice.
And, if you want the spiciest thing, that's what that's going to be. But within every outlet, there's an element, too. Like, I'm blessed to have a very talented team of chefs to, manage their outlets and who have the education and the culinary intellect to diversify their menus. At Jackrabbit, he has an awesome buffalo wings up there that, it's a gastropub, so you would expect something like that. But also, whenever he's making his salmon cakes, he has an element of spice in that too. Our Chido Mexican restaurant, or Hispanic restaurant, that is Milton who has that restaurant, and he makes his salsas fresh every single day.
Oh,
so
nice.
Depending on what chili he uses or depending on what he had access to, the spice level could be very high. Sometimes I have to go in and say, hey, calm that down. Throw some lime juice in that. It's good for me. It's great. I'm, tears in my eyes. But, we have to think about our clientele as well. So, yeah. But again, to go back on it, there are spicy elements to every restaurant. I think that you're going to find the most spice, obviously, in the Hispanic restaurant, just because of the nature of it. Mm-hmm. We have Brandon over in Smokehouse who makes his own hot sauce as well. So he might have a run for his money. But for the most part, I think you go into Chido, you get anything off the menu there. The spiciest thing you're going to get is what you ask for.
Okay. Oh, nice. I mean, it sounds like most concepts, everything's getting made from scratch.
95% of our kitchens are from scratch kitchens.
That's awesome.
I don't come from a hotel background. I'm holistic restaurants. I'm a holistic restaurant chef. It was a big step for me to go from restaurants, brick and mortar, to a multi-outlet concept like this, or multi-outlet operation like this. A lot of chefs traditionally like to stay with, the brick and mortar. There's a lot of romanticism behind it. I appreciate it. We all have dreams and goals. One day I'm going to have my own and things of the such. But I also believe in diversifying your experience so you can cater to a bigger clientele, hopefully, in the future. And in regards to all of this, I'm sorry, I forgot where I was going. What was the question?
Things made from scratch.
Oh yeah. So sorry.
No, I've walked into listening to the story.
I've walked into outlets where my jaw will drop because I'll see that we're buying in short rib that's already cooked and braised, and I'm like, what are we doing? And that the moment I started seeing like people take the easy route like that, I'm like, I don't care how difficult the day is. We can schedule however we need to. We can adjust, the day as we need to. But if we're hiring 12 professionals or we're hiring 7 professionals, the expectation needs to be a professional one. And that is, we can't take the easy route, and we have to be able to build things from scratch and showcase our skill. That's the only way that we get to feel pride in what we do. And I think a lot of people kind of lose sight of that kind of idealism, specifically with hotel concepts and with hotel restaurants, where they think it's about, expediency or convenience or just trying to pull a profit. Whereas, we don't have just chefs who are understanding in the business side of things. We have chefs who are passionate about what they're doing. And it shows through all their outlets. So very appreciative of where we've started and where we're at. And kind of as I mentioned in the beginning, is we have so much more to go, but the direction and the path that everyone's on right now it's inspiring.
No, I mean, that sounds great. And you mentioned that hotels usually look for that convenient path, but I feel like a lot of restaurants look for that too, right? Just because it might be cheaper, it's easier, you got to get less staff, it cuts your costs, whatever the reason might be.
Yeah, biggest thing is labor costs. Like, people don't want to spend the time, many people don't want to spend the time to train. And I think something that we've kind of ingrained into our culture here is, if you don't know, you're going to learn. It's not a matter of, you can't hide from it, you can't run from it, kind of like that Marvel quote. But no, it's a matter of like, hey, you're here with us. You may be, I've had people who are, their last job was Amazon delivery driver. And they wanted a chance because they like to see what we were doing in the kitchen. Bring them in.
Oh, that's cool.
Can you make something for me? I can only make what my mom taught me. Perfect. I want that. Is it great? 7 times out of 10, maybe. But it's room. It's a canvas, right? And you get to look at them and you say, if you come and you make the agreement to come work here and you come work with us, we're going to teach you, and it's going to be uncomfortable in some areas, because just like reading a book that you don't, say you don't speak Spanish and you're trying to read a book that's written in Spanish, that's going to be frustrating.
No.
Same thing with
just a little bit.
yeah, same thing with, not coming from a culinary background, but you have the drive and you have the passion. You're going to be frustrated whenever you don't understand things or don't know things. But that's why it's important that we have the people that we have within our team who's saying, no, it's not an option. This is our standard. This is our guideline. And we can't falter because you're afraid of it, but we can assist you. We can help build you into this person that helps it. And that's how we've promoted cooks to chefs, chef to cuisines, and so much of the like, pastry chefs into bakers and everything. It's really incredible to kind of watch who we've brought in. And, you see the light bulb click whenever you're teaching someone, and you're like, finally they got it.
Nice.
And all that fear that happened, a month ago, we made you do it for 30 days, and now you're a pro.
It's gone. Yeah. So you get to take all of this great food and all these things made from scratch and market it.
Yes, it's the easiest job I have. I think that, listen, Oklahoma City is tough because there's unbelievable restaurants here. So there's a lot of competition, but I think that we, to Chef's point, we offer such variety and diversity and just a really great product that, it's easy. Once we get people there, it sells itself.
Yeah.
So it's really just about making sure that, the Oklahoma City community knows that, you don't have to be a hotel guest. You don't need to be coming to the water park. Our outlets are there for you for a date night, for a fun night out. Our boardwalk has 3 different outlets that also have entertainment with sports simulators, things like that. So there's so much at your disposal to enjoy beyond the food, but the food is obviously the highlight. And, we just got to get you in once and then we'll get you hooked.
Yeah, I bet you would, because you mentioned the sports outlet combined with the food. You have Curveball, Bullseye,
and Smokehouse Social.
So
all 3 restaurants on the boardwalk are a combination of restaurants and entertainment. So Smokehouse has golf simulators that also have 25 other games. So you could do dodgeball, archery, golf, baseball, a little bit of everything. Curveball Kitchen has baseball simulators. So you could pick any MLB stadium in the entire country and play in that stadium. The ball pops up from the bottom. You hit it.
At it.
Yep. And then, as Chef mentioned, we just launched last month Bullseye, which is digital axe throwing, darts, and mini golf. So we have a little bit of everything. And it's, a really fun night out.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, good food, good entertainment. Like,
exactly.
What else do you need?
Exactly.
And I bet, like, all the stuff being made from scratch and all that great food, like, content, you've got content for days probably.
Easy. Right? Easy. Weeks, months, we're good. And when we need more, Chef is very good to us and obliges.
You got, and the Hot Ones Challenge, that's some fun stuff.
From what I heard, we already had 2 people beat the challenge.
Oh, really?
Oh, we gotta rework that. It was supposed to be flawless. It was supposed to be see-through or seamless.
No one's supposed to win it.
Don't sleep on Bullseye though. The food is fantastic, but the drinks are also. I would say, and I'm not egotistical, but I'm very proud, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done. But I will say the drinks at Bullseye, they shine, and a bartender is a chef's best friend, so I get to spend a lot of time there and kind of and deduce and critique and do this and that and the third. But there's almost very limited that I have to do. It's incredible. It's incredibly thought out from top to bottom.
And it's a great point because, listen, there's other venues out there that have digital darts and axe throwing, but we have over 40 signature cocktails that will be rotating seasonally. You can't really find
That's
that
a lot.
in many places. And to Chef's point, they're all perfection. We have a whole list that's just mezcal. We have a whole list that's just bubbles. Like, there's literally something for everybody, and they're all fantastic.
How long did that list take to curate?
The 40 signature cocktails,
Yeah.
I believe it took about 4 to 5 months.
Jeez. That's a lot.
And the plan is that it changes.
That's
so.
a lot of fun testing.
100%. I like to be the guinea pig.
It's always nice to be on the other side of the bar getting to taste the drinks. Typically you're the one presenting the food for the tastings, and then when it's time for the drink tasting, typically we have the food in front of us already. Now the chef gets to have a little bit of fun and kind of, make his notes as well.
Yeah. No, that's when you were like, "Oh, you made something for me? Thanks." Like you're like, "Whatever it is, I'm happy."
That's actually my favorite food. I mean, the mantra or the ideology behind it is, we're all in this career for one reason, is to be hospitable, to provide hospitality to everyone else. You ask anyone in the world, they're going to say, you're not a chef because of the money. You're not a cook because of the money. You're not here because you just thoroughly are so stoked to be financially secure for the rest of your life. You're here because you enjoy the heat, you enjoy the camaraderie, you enjoy producing something that people can remember. You enjoy the experience of people being able to forget about whatever's outside of the doors, outside of the four walls that they're walking into, because it's tough out there sometimes. And if people are trusting you to dine at your venue, whichever it may be, that's a big ask. That's a big trust. That's a big level of confidence that they're hoping and expecting that you provide for them. And I think that going from Michelin kitchens to cooking chicken strips for children, in soggy clothes from the water park and whatnot, like that's a very big step. It's a very different one. It's lateral and a different kind of experience where like these people are trusting us to curate an experience for them that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. That's a big responsibility to take, and it's not taken lightly through anyone within our department. And I mean, from the limited food I've had there, it shows. Excellent.
Like those care in how things are made and how things are presented, like the ingredients, the order of, like even when we made the cocktails.
Yep.
Right. Like it was just very. She loved what she was doing, telling us, "Hey, this is why we're doing this." Like then the reasoning behind it is known, as opposed to this is step 1, step 2, step 3.
I'm at the point in my career, 7 years ago, I was that sweaty line cook, just working my station, trying to get perfection, trying to get the chef off my back, all these things. And now I'm at the point in my career where we create these items, right? And whereas I was at 7 years ago trying to do all these things, and I deliver a dish to a guest, and I get to see the look on their faces whenever they try it, and you see everything click, and you see that smile that they're trying to not smile so like boldly about, but that acceptance of like, thank you, this is amazing, right? That's huge for people growing up in this industry. But what's better for me now, looking back and looking forward, is I'm starting to see it in the people that work with me. I'm starting to see it with the people who are joining our teams, and again, going back to that limited experience, they're working the line. We have an open kitchen in Jackrabbit where you can see everything from production and pantry pastry to hotline to expo. You can kind of see the orchestra that's being conducted there with our chef Caleb, and he's fantastic, by the way. But you get to see, we have young cooks. We have 19, 20, 21-year-old cooks who are just getting their foot wet and getting into the development. They finally make that perfect steak, right? They finally cook that perfect medium rare, and I get to be lucky enough to watch them and do the same thing I did just a couple years ago. Whenever they're excited to take this dish and they're excited to see if they did it right and whatnot, and then they see that the guest is just so enamored with their experience that they're like, we just inspired the next generation. We just inspired the next generation of culinary.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've taken a back seat in terms of trying to produce the most new age or the most trendy topics or whatever it may be in terms of culinary cuisine. But I will say it is very nice watching the development part now.
Well, I was first going to ask you a little bit about your background, because I know we've peppered that in places. But something that you just said kind of sparked a question. In like, do you think that these culinary trends are going to like taper off a little bit, especially with how fast they're coming and going? Or do you think it's just going to get wilder? And
I think in this world, everybody has ADHD. So the trends may stay for as long as they might, but there's going to be another one right behind it.
Right.
It's a ball that continuously rolls. I don't know if it's a snowball. I don't think it gets bigger, but I think that every hill that it goes down is going to be a different trend and a different way to keep up, so to speak.
Yeah.
We live in the world where TikTok is kind of our spot to go whenever we want to see cool food. It's everywhere. It's social media in general.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the trendiness of it all, I think there's a difference between keeping up with the trend and then diversifying yourself from the trend to where you can take notes and elements from that and also create your own kind of style with it.
Yeah.
That's how I've kind of operated. I know that's how a lot of chefs try to operate as well. It's just like, we don't want to be the TikTok chef, even though, there's tons of views in that.
Yeah.
But to be able to take,
She's going to disagree with you.
this form of popularity, and be able to, internalize it, attach it to your integrity and your ambition, and then present and produce something. I think it's a change in direction, but not a change in terms of the trend itself.
But I think to what you just said, I don't disagree with it, because we're just doing it the opposite way, which is rather than create something that we think will go viral, we're posting something that is going to go viral for what it is on its own. We're kind of going into it the right way versus backing into it.
Right, like not hopping on the trend.
Exactly,
but, yeah.
We're starting ours.
Yeah,
that's
right.
the side of social media that I really enjoy too. Is there's plenty of room for personality, right? I've never been the kind of guy who's like flashing myself in front as I'm trying to, interrupt a dinner, and it could be flash. There's a time and a place for all of that stuff, right? What I love to see is like, if I'm scrolling through my reels and I'm seeing somebody that I don't know brag about my food, and I'm like, this is the good side of social media.
Yeah.
This is the part that I like.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times the pressure of being a chef is like comparing yourself to that trend, whereas you could easily navigate if you just put out a nice dish, or if you put out a nice presentation, or you put out a nice, fun, engaging kind of quote unquote trendy dish. You get to reap that benefit of reward by not having to worry about the flashiness and just enjoying the fact that you presented something that people are putting and sharing about you, and it's your name on the plate. And I don't know, there's a rewarding element in that.
Yeah, but that's such a fine line to walk, and it's kind of cool that I've got both the sides to it right here. Because on one hand, you have to do that, right?
Yep.
To get the attention, to get the people
Gotta stay
through
relevant.
the door. Exactly. But then on the other hand, you're like, well,
it's not a gimmick.
It's not a gimmick, and that actually doesn't taste as good, right? If you do it that way, it doesn't, right?
I think that's what makes us a good team.
Agreed. We balance each other.
No, that's good. Okay, so a little more about the background. Now, we talked about born and raised in Oklahoma. You were in Ireland for a little bit.
Yeah. Broad strokes in the beginning, it's just, went to college to be a history major at OSU. Was, having to pay for my college, having to pay my way. So the easiest thing for me to find was working in a steakhouse. I ended up working in a steakhouse for, the 3 years I was going to college, and realized the longer I was working in the restaurant, the less I was spending time in school. I was like, oh, no, the scales are tipping, and I don't really know what's going on. And at that point, I started getting really, really, really involved with the idea of traveling, and maybe not being a history teacher, and maybe not going back home and doing these things that I thought I was going to do, because you experience college, you realize the world's huge. And then you let that train of thought kind of guide you, and I tried going to culinary school, went to culinary school for a while, and I was asking chefs just here and there, like, hey, how do I separate myself? How do I become? I have the realism side. I know. I work with chefs. I see what they put themselves through. How do I separate myself and experience something a little bit differently? And the answer I got was, you'll have to do it yourself. So I was like, great, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you.
Thanks for the help.
And so, but in a way it was, because I was like, all right, screw it, I'm going to go do it myself. So I go home, I email about 1,600 restaurants around the world, and say, I'll be like Harry Potter. I'll live in a cupboard if you just get me in there so I can experience this. And of all the restaurants I emailed, there was 2 or 3 that emailed me back. There was one in Ireland. It was a Michelin 2-star. It was the highest ranked one of the people that wanted to give me an opportunity. And they said, we'll call your bluff. Come on.
Call your bluff.
So next thing I know, I'm on a plane. I'm flying to Dublin, Ireland. I'm working at the Restaurant Patrick Guibault. It's a Michelin 2-star French and Irish kind of hybrid. They take the style of like traditional or classic French cuisine, and they apply it to Irish infused kind of cuisine.
Yeah.
But I lived and worked there for a year and a half. Walked to work to and from. They were true. They gave me a room about the size of this office space, and said, hey, you're working every day, no days off. We'll feed you. We'll pay you $5 on the table, and after the 3 months of your visa, we'll renegotiate and see where you're at. Made it to 3 months, and they were like, okay, there's some promise here. And I was like, crap, this is terrifying. I'm a 21-year-old kid, being introduced to such high caliber standards to degrees that I'm, Gordon Ramsay-esque, Marco Pierre White-esque, and all of these little notes back to, the old style of cooking that I had never been experienced to. And I think somewhere along the line, and it might have been just after the extension, I was like, all right, this is it. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. There's no one, I'm going to be this guy, at some point. Maybe not here, maybe not in Oklahoma, maybe somewhere else. But this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I love the heat. I love the pressure. And that really kind of, that train of thought really opened up a ton of opportunity in a very short amount of time. I ended up moving back home for about a week and a half, and I was like, this ain't it, Chief. I love you, Mom.
It's a little different than Ireland?
Yeah. Like, I love you, Mom, but I got to get back out there. Mom's like, are you crazy, man? And so I ended up searching Craigslist, doing the same thing that I had done prior to moving to Ireland, but on a New York scale. And I was emailing restaurants in New York saying, just give me a chance. I'll figure out the rest. I just need a chance. So the Nomad, which was a Michelin one at the time, they invited me to come do a stage, come up there. And I'll always remember this. This is something that I like to share with my cooks too, is when you do a stage, you're basically doing a working interview, right? You're showing them what you can do. You're showing you can follow tasks. And at the end, they may give you a mystery basket where they say, hey, take this, this, and this, make a dish, and we'll critique it at the end. High pressure, but, it's part of the job. And so I walk in and they're like, okay, you're going to cook for us today. I'm like, fantastic. They pull out a Krispy Kreme hat and say, this is your hat for the day. And I look around, I said, no one else is wearing this. And they were like, that's how we spot the new guys.
Aww.
So I walked the whole day with this Krispy Kreme hat, and everyone's like, on your left, Crispy, And it's part of like the I don't want to know, I don't want to call it hazing,
right.
but it is. It's pretty much part of like joining the team.
Right.
Do you have the skin for it?
Yeah.
So apparently I did. They gave me the offer. They said, come back. They said, we'd love to hire you right now, but you have to wait 2 months. I'm like, I just put down a down payment on my rent house or my apartment, and you're telling me I can't start for 2 months. So, I spend maybe 3 weeks looking for a side job or whatever, and I'm walking down the road, walking past Nomad. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go see if I can be a bar back. So I walk in. I was like, hey, I got a job here in a couple months. They're like, yeah, sure. And I said, what gives, guy? And I was like, all right, can I just fill out an application? I'm filling out the application for the bar spot. They take me to the back. I'm working in the bar my first day. My chef, his name is Chef Adam, he walks up and he goes, what are you doing? And I said, I can't start for another month. And he goes, get that off right now. And he took me downstairs, threw me in a uniform, and he goes, what were you thinking? I was like, you know what? Yes, chef, thank you. Happy to be here. Worked there for about a year and a half. I was 23 or so, and still not quite financially responsible in the Big Apple. I was having a lot of fun and really just kind of diving down the experience of just being, young in a big city for the second time in my life and whatnot, but I still was experiencing a lot. And, as time kind of waned, I was like, okay, I want to be sous chef here. And they said, if you want to be sous chef, you have to go to 11 Madison Park. You have to become a tournant over there. So I get blessed to go to a 3-star Michelin, 11 Madison Park. And I become, I start running stations, get close to being tournant. And something clicked where I was like, I've done it. I've gone from Michelin 1, 2, and 3. Not many people can say that they've been able to do that or that they've been able to last that. And in my head, it's always like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And this, for the first time in my 23 years of life, I didn't know what was next because in my head, I was like, I've done it. So, I take that home and I'm like, okay, what can you possibly be doing that you haven't done before? I was like, I think I'd like to work on a boat. So I hire a headhunter, and I kind of give him my experience. A headhunter is a guy that we call, he's a contractor. So you hire him on contract. He goes and finds you jobs. And he presents you jobs that, he thinks that may fit in your category or pedigree and whatnot. Well, the first thing he brought me was executive sous chef for National Geographic. I said, yep, I'll take that.
Wow.
I'll take that. And within like 24 hours, I was on a flight to Seattle, interviewing with the chef there, and didn't realize at the time that I was signing up to work for an expedition cruise line as their executive sous chef, where breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you'd be feeding a clientele of, serious nature buffs and investors and the naturalists, the photojournalists, the scientists that track whale movement and things of the like. Also the crew, because you're part of the crew as well. So 6 meals a day for, elevated high-end cuisine for the investors, clientele, guests, things like that. and then also you'd be creating, food for the people that you work with. And you realize really quickly which one is just as important as the other, and it's going to be cooking for the crew. If you have a happy crew, and it really is kind of strange how, and it shouldn't be, because it's going to sound obvious when I say it out loud, how a meal can change your day. Whenever you're stuck with 70 people every single day out in the ocean, and that's all you see, you realize that some people are holding on to, fried catfish day a little bit more than the other. Some people are holding on to crab day more than the other. And that makes you care for what you're doing a little bit more.
It's kind of a little highlight.
Yeah, but I would say that was an incredible experience, but what I enjoyed the most about it was the freedom to kind of build my own identity in terms of culinary and in terms of what I wanted to do with my career. And you're away from the heat, you're away from the intensity, you're away from the pressure to be the best, and you get to kind of revel in just being and being able to provide something and trust your talent and trust your direction. I spent my summers in Alaska, I spent my winters in Mexico, I spent my deep winters in Honduras and Central America. I got to travel that spread for 3 years and, run across so many different walks of life and walks of people and take little notes here and there and, build them into, what's becoming my pedigree. And after about, that 3-year stint, I mentioned my mom earlier. She's like, dude, you got to come home. I'm like ready for you to have roots. Still haven't had them. Sorry, Mom. But, I was like, okay, you're right. I do want to kind of get back to some elevated cuisine. I do want to kind of get back to some old style cooking that I was, doing. So I moved back to Tulsa. I ended up working with Matt Amberg, who is an incredible chef. And we worked together for about 2 years at his concept, Oren. And we ended up getting it nominated for a James Beard Award. And that was my first taste of the precipice. You're so close. You can do it. You actually can, evolve and elevate your own cuisine, your own personal standards and things like that. And that opened up the doors for Oklahoma City. And I was like, okay, this is great. I can do this. Matt and I shook hands, and it was time to move on, and ended up finding my place over at Black Walnut and working with Andrew Black for about a year and a half or so. And it was executive sous chef. I had never really quite bridged the precipice of executive chef. And that, I think, going back to thinking about what's always next, that was on the back of my mind for the entirety of moving from Tulsa to Oklahoma City. I was like, what's next? I think this is next. I want to do this. I want to be in charge of my own team. I want to be in charge of my own menu. I want to be in charge of being successful, successfully producing something that I think that guests will enjoy. And so around that time, Ramsey's Kitchen was opening up, and I said, I'm going to throw my hat in that. So I threw my hat in the ring, get a call back from one of the chefs there, Christina Wilson, who was at the time Ramsey's sous chef, and she invited me down to do a tasting for her. Do a 4-course tasting. My hands are shaking because I've seen her on TV before, and I'm like, holy crap, this is real. And after the tasting was done and everything was presented, she had been texting Gordon the notes and everything, and you see in caps, get him. And Christina, she looked right at me and she goes, you're the first chef that we're going to hire on the spot. You good with that?
That's wild.
And
yeah.
That's wild.
Tears eyes start watering. I'm like, nope, not doing it. You got to lock it in. And I'll remember that was the best airport beer I think I've ever had in my life. Because once I got to the airport and could drop it all, I take a sip. I'm like, oh my God, call your mom. So I did that, and it was incredible. We brought on a huge team. I was from opening to the past for the first 2 years, building that team and just establishing not only the culture that I knew I could help build, but establishing the culture of what I wanted to present for my future and how I wanted to present myself to the rest of my team. And again, I have that itch that's always saying, what's next? So we did 2 years at Ramsey's, and as luck would have it, mainly, as blessings would have it, more exactly would be, Okana was finally getting ready to open. And Okana was finally doing a call for people to come work for them. So I said, screw it, I'm going to throw my hat in that too. And I get a call back from the hiring director, and he goes, I think you check all the boxes. You don't quite check the executive chef box, but we're going to bring you in at the executive sous if you're willing. I said, okay, of course. I can't wait to see it. We joined. We hit the ground running in February. February, March, April, May, those were probably some of the bigger breaking months, not just for me, but for the team. We're all getting used to each other. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have to adjust to a certain standard. My style is probably not the easiest if you don't come from a background that is very similar. So we had to learn how to work together. I had to learn how to work with, others as well. I can remember like my ears getting red at something I had seen about service or all the problems that may be coming inside of a kitchen or coming outside of a kitchen. And I remember my boss, he would come up and, pat my shoulder. He goes, "Hey, chef, we cook for kids. Relax, smile." And that was a big lesson for me. I was like, come on, man. Don't get over yourself, but live a little, breathe a little, and get in there. So, you start finding points of frustration. Like, nope, I'm just going to go in. I'm going to go in, and instead of, maybe Ramsey yelling, I'm going to go in and say, hey, this is how we're doing it. And take over in a way that doesn't feel like you're berating or belittling, and kind of allowing them to kind of witness how you can act and how you can react to things whenever things are falling behind. And from there, it's just a matter of building our team and holding them to our standards and teaching them and guiding them if they may not meet it. But for the most part, that's kind of where my experience has taken me, and it's a very blessed position to be in terms of receiving as much opportunity in a very short amount of time. And I've made a lot of young dumb mistakes, but I'm very proud that I've been able to recognize the opportunity.
Nice.
And I think Chef mentioned something really interesting there, though, that we're just cooking for kids. Like, it's not rocket science. But I think that we really do a great job, and Chef leads the team that really does a great job at taking things that are accessible and relatable on our menus, but really taking it to a higher level, and having menus that, the kids are happy, but the adults are just as happy. And I think that's what sets Okana apart as a property, as a resort, but specifically within our food offerings, which is, we're not other family-friendly resorts, I won't name names, that like the parents are there, but they're counting the seconds to get out of there because they're there for their kids. Their kids are happy, but like they have no desire to be there. They have no desire to eat there. That was the goal for Okana, that wasn't us. Like, the adults are enjoying just as much as the kids are. And I think that is really highlighted in our culinary offerings and the food that we present, that, the kids can have, really elevated, delicious chicken fingers. But the parents can have, a salmon cake with roasted cabbage on top, or they can have, a really great piece of steak. Everyone's happy.
Right.
And you don't have to kind of dumb down the menus or compromise your offerings in order to, keep the kids happy too.
Yeah.
Oh, I would say that's not even limited just to the outlets, though. We're really blessed with just a fantastic team property-wide, from front desk to housekeeping to it all. But on that note, too, in regards to just, the culinary aspect, is we have Jackrabbit, we have Chido, we have the concessions, we have Smokehouse, Curveball, Bullseye. What I love the most, is my favorite spot, because I need coffee in the morning, too, is our Market 56. We have an incredible coffee program that is just as much from scratch as any other outlet that we have currently, whether it's from our cookies that change, our curator-made cookies that change every month, where we ask them, what do you want to make, and what are you inspired by? And one person could be crumble, one person could be I'm actually shadowing for this pastry chef, and she's taught me this sort of thing, and the other one could be a home-style artisanal cook, and she's just wanting to present what she cooks to her or what she gives to her grandkids. There's notes of personality in that small outlet that deserve to be recognized in terms of just the integrity behind their offerings. And I think that what we provide to our clientele, because some people don't want to eat a buffet, some people don't want to do the rigmarole of, okay, we're going to have an all-you-can-eat buffet, and then we're going to go swim.
That sounds fantastic.
Some people just want to come in and grab a quick bite, and as long as it's mindful, and that's what I kind of lead our team by, is like, as long as what you're doing is mindful, as long as what your intention is mindful to not only to our clientele, but to yourself and to your progression, the answer is not no. The answer is, how do we make it work? And I think specifically with Market, we've seen a lot of growth. And then most recently, we've reduced a lot of items in our candy shop even to going back to holistically house-made items. So we're offering homemade chocolate bark. We're offering homemade chocolate truffles.
Oh, that's cool.
We're doing a lot. We're trying to get them a little bit more elevated with my favorite chocolate. It seems to be a little tough even for me. So there might be something new down the line after we can all perfect it. But the amount of progress that we've made in such a very short amount of time, and a lot of this kind of, I was granted the role of executive chef about 4 or 5 months ago. Mm-hmm. So 6 months in as executive sous, moved to executive chef. And when given that opportunity, my big question that I had to ask myself was, how okay are we staying on this straight line? And then how do I, if I'm not okay with staying on the straight line, how do I begin to elevate myself in a way that doesn't, scare my staff, potentially scare, my directors, and then also doesn't overwhelm the clientele in which I'm trying to provide for, or that we're trying to provide for. So you have to get used to, I'm the guy who wants everything done right there. And you have to be able to dissect that and say, okay, what if we don't get everything done right then and there? What if we just get this done this week? And then what if we get this done next week? And then 4 months down the line, you get to look back and see, holy crap, we got a lot done.
Yeah.
We accomplished a lot just by being okay with, as long as we're moving in a forward direction, and as long as we're trying to be better than we were the day before, the week before, the month before, we're going to be able to look back at this and be proud of it.
Yeah. No, that's something that I'm trying to instill in my personal life. Is just be better the next day. But that's a hard thing to do, because you're like, man, why haven't I already done this?
Yep.
All right, I do want to talk about maybe I know we mentioned a lot of food on the outlets, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Brussels Caesars that we had. Dude, I was like, I've never had something like this. This is so good.
That's an original. I like to keep that one in my back pocket just to kind of throw out every now and again.
So that one's at Bullseye,
Yeah.
so everyone knows.
Yeah,
that one's at Bullseye. And the reaction that I get when I present that to people without them actually trying it, they're always just like, huh. And then that's it. It's like, oh, okay. All right. You gave me a lot to go on there. But trust me, you may not think you're going to like it, but you got to try it.
I have not tried it yet. I may have to have
You
that
haven't
tonight.
tried it? What?
That's the thing I'm the happiest about, that and the hanging bacon,
Yep.
of course. But another chef that I work for, or I shouldn't say work for, I worked with, he and I became kind of professional rivals, like, hey, you try that, and then you're like, oh, that's so good, I wish it was mine, And I remember going to eat at one of his restaurants, and he just comes out, and you can tell he's peacocking. He's just like, oh, I can't wait to show you this. You're here with this cute girl. I'm going to drop this here right in front of you. And he dropped me a version of it, and he steamed his, and he had steamed Brussels sprouts, and he did a balsamic glaze, and a couple other items that were, it was delicious. It was fantastic. And I looked at him, I was like, this is so good. I'm going to do it better next week. And so I started just looking up ideas, and I said, you know what? No one's ever heard of this. I love Caesar dressing. Everyone that I'm experienced with has some sort of affinity towards Brussels sprouts. I'm going to see if we can strike gold and just combine the two. So we made a very crispy Brussels sprout. We deep fry them, roast them. We blanch them, deep fry them, and then after they're dried and whatnot, we toss them in a bowl with Caesar dressing. And you're like, okay, that's the base, right? That's cool. Like, it's rich, and it's definitely not as healthy as it presents itself to be. But then, what do you do when you combine something that's rich? You give it acid. So we gave it, we took red onions, and we pickled them in red wine vinegar, and we made it super sweet. That way it doesn't taste so, you don't get the heat of the onion. You just get the pure acidic, but also kind of onion flavor to it. So it brightens up the richness of the Caesar. And then you're like, okay, this is fantastic, but I can't beat this guy with this dish yet. So what does it need? Texture. Okay, toasted panko. Toasted panko. That's easy. So we take panko, toast it, drizzle it. We're like, okay, all of this is really good, but now I'm like, there's nothing fresh. I still feel kind of like, eh. So what do? You look at your herbs. Go to your herb shelf. And we start picking Thai basil. Didn't work. We started messing with oregano because of Caesar and whatnot. It didn't work. And we found mint, and we were like, okay. All of a sudden the gears stopped because we made a full circle. We're like, this is it. And then the best part of creating a dish is saying it needs nothing more. If you put anything else on it, you're just going to complicate things. And that's how I found that one. I took a bite and I said, oh, how do you like this, Aaron? And I say it in all jest. It's a lot of fun finding somebody who matches your drive in terms of like the culinary cuisine.
Yeah.
It's also really fun if they work in a different restaurant. So then you're just back and forth trying to, as long as you can come together and have a beer at the end, then no harm done.
And I think competition, and especially like a friendly rivalry like that, like I think that makes it better, right? Like you probably would have never come up with this. Maybe you would have if he hadn't done the, just the path that it follows. Like
keeps things interesting.
Yeah.
The best thing is I said the quote earlier is, that's so good I wish it were mine. And then you lead with that mindset, and you're like, I've got to,
I got to make it better.
I've got to make it better.
Yeah.
And will you? Who knows?
Yeah.
You might get bored and you might move on to something else that person has to try and make better. But
Right.
I do believe that there is a place for that kind of rivalry. There is a place for that kind of competition because it keeps you on your toes and it keeps you relevant.
Yeah.
It keeps you looking and engaging and, doing your own research and following the trends and seeing what you can apply to it.
Yeah. And I think in any industry, if there's no competition, you kind of get complacent, right? You're like,
Agreed.
I'm doing fine. This is got nothing to worry about. Okay. What are some of your favorites?
At Okana?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the new salmon cake that Chef Caleb has at Jackrabbit. I think it's absolutely delicious. I'm a sauce girl, so there's this really delicious sauce on top. Yeah, I need to dip something in everything. Speaking of sauce, one of the best béarnaise sauces I've ever had comes out of Chef Caleb's kitchen. So fantastic. We also just 2 months ago we unveiled some of our new menus, and one of them was at Smokehouse. It is a heart attack on a plate, but if you're looking for something like that, our roll call burrito is a barbecue burrito stuffed with smoked sausage.
Speaking of friendly rivalries, I love Chef Brandon. He is one of the most talented chefs I've come across in terms of his cuisine. I can't touch Smokehouse chefs. Those guys are on a whole different league, and they're an entirely different breed of chef. But here I am, I'm working with the chefs over at Chido, and I'm like, oh man, we just made the best spread of burritos. And here I am over at the Smokehouse,
really
and he
good.
drops this giant behemoth in front of me, and I just look at him. He's got that proud smile, and he's telling me without telling me. I know.
But let me tell you, so we did just launch 5 new burritos at Chido on the new menu too, and they're fantastic. Completely 2 different concepts here, obviously. So this is a barbecue burrito stuffed with brisket and mac and cheese and French fries and topped with queso. And again, you can't eat very much of it, but the few bites you eat of it are delicious, and it does hit all the notes. But again, the Chido burritos, also very well rounded, a little bit of everything. When it comes to Chido, my new favorite menu item are and I'm not going to say this right, so I apologize, but the birria tacos. I think we do a fantastic job with those, and they're delicious. But there's a favorite at every restaurant because every restaurant is a favorite. We do really great things at each. Our Pie Lab pizza in the water park, we have really developed that pizza, and it has gotten delicious. Nice crunchy crust with cheese on the crust. But there's something great everywhere. And that's what I love about our menus is no matter which restaurant you go to, you're going to find your favorite. It's a really nice eclectic menu, and that's what's great about the property overall is even as diverse as each menu is, the restaurants are even more diverse. So whatever you're looking for, we have.
Yeah.
Something I like to mention about Chido specifically is we wanted to be as far removed from generic as possible. Whenever we first came on, for the sake of not knowing what's coming, it's easy to kind of say, okay, we're going to do cookie cut a Mexican restaurant, a Hispanic Latino restaurant, and not really look into the diversity of the of that cuisine. There's a lot of depth to it. Mm-hmm. And also something that we weren't looking at is our staff, they are born in Mexico. They're from Mexico. They have deep roots to home, and nobody asked them, hey, what do you make at home? Right. And Chef Milton, who's the most talented chef in terms of this cuisine, he to the point to where he makes my breakfast, and he gets offended. He gets offended if I don't eat, he'll be like, Mijo, you have to eat. He goes, you can't. I'm making this. You have to eat it. And so, it's beautiful that first off we have that relationship, but secondly, he has very high standards for himself, and he pulls a lot of his recipes. He's built that menu. Don't get me wrong. He's built that menu himself, and a lot of those are based from his experiences with home. He always. To your point, the birria kind of unlocked a memory of mine as we were playing around with birria, and he goes, I said, this is delicious. And he goes, it'd be better if you dug me something I could cook underground with. And I said, like a well? And he goes, oh, mijo. And but no, there's intense pride and there's intense ownership through every outlet that I to Talya's point, there's favorites and everything because the chefs prioritize their place and they really enjoy the position that they're in to where they can create what's their item, what's their identity, and what even with our concession program with Pie Lab sliders and Kaya, every single person in charge of those units, we have one sous chef, Mukta, who oversees the entire thing, But every single person from each outlet provides something that they're inspired by, and the chefs in charge, whether it's their own creation or not, they, instead of shutting it down or turning it away, they promote that. They inspire that because, again, it's not about what you can and can't do. It's about how can we make what you want work? And how does that apply to what we're trying to do? And you'll find those little notes even in the smallest concessions, Market 56, Sliders, Pie Lab, Kaya, Candy, It's just, again, there's that little element of mindfulness that hopefully people can see across every spectrum of it.
Yeah. I was going to ask you to pick your favorite kid, but I feel like it's going to be hard.
Oh, man. It will be. I mean, I spend so much time with every single one of them. And something that we haven't spoke about, too, and this is kind of probably not meant for the podcast specifically, is, our banquet program, for one. Our banquet program is something that people don't consider often. If you think of hotel banquet food, you don't hold it in high regard because it's steak, potatoes, and whatnot. We have a very talented banquet chef who spends the majority of his time making sure that he can produce incredible food for 500, 700, 800 people. We just went through the holiday seasons, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. These were all his menus. These were all his creations. But the team that he encouraged them to take the lead. He was the one kind of going through and being the taster and making sure that he was shaping it into the way that it needed to be. And that's just something I wanted to kind of broadcast as well, is that we may have 1,800 people in the outlets. We may have 1,800 people outside in the water park, but there's no telling we could have 800 people being fed from one team.
Right.
And being able to handle that is a piece of its own as well. So you asked for my favorite, I still can't give you one. I think they're all on level playing fields because they all cater in a different way, and they all produce their results in a different way. And each way is just as integral for me. So you're right. I can't pick this one.
Okay. So before we kind of wrap up here, what's coming up?
Oh, okay. In terms of outlets, we don't have much coming up, right? But it's not the fact that, just because we're done opening up restaurants means we have to stop. Right now we're in the beginning phases of Curveball's going through their first menu change or their first menu revision. From there, we're going to be shingling out every restaurant, we want to provide 2 menu changes seasonally per year per outlet. So, as things develop, we'll be offering new menus for anyone who wants to show up. Whether you're a guest or whether you're coming back to us, hopefully we can provide something different. But also, say you're not someone who likes to go outside the box. You found the short rib at Jackrabbit and you're like, I'm kind of come back, and every time I come back, I'm going to get this. Great. We're going to have our staples that won't be removed. But we're also going to look at the other items where there's room to grow or there's room to develop. Yeah. Re-envision that opportunity and see what we can provide. We have the talent, we have the skill set, and whenever you have those two things, I think you have the obligation at that point. So what's coming is constant. I don't know what the best word for that is. The constant
reinvention.
Yeah, constant reinvention, and not just ourselves, but what we're trying to provide. Because the only way that we're going to grow is if we learn what works and what doesn't too.
I think also how we kind of present it and how we the reasons we give people to come. So, different promotions, different events. Valentine's Day, we're having this awesome 4-course meal that we have available at Jackrabbit. We're launching on January 22nd, College Night on the Boardwalk every Thursday night, where it's half off bays and $5 beers and $7 well drinks. So, I think,
you have to be in college to do that?
You need a college ID. We do
have. You do need a college.
You need a college ID Thursday nights. But we also
study something.
But we're always putting out different promotions, different kind of new exciting events and things like that. So while we may not be opening a new restaurant, we're giving you another reason to come and experiencing it in a different way. So
nice.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to shout out at Okana?
I would just say, keep Okana in mind when you're looking for a restaurant for date night, just, a fun night out. I think it's very easy to kind of write us off as, oh, it's the resort. Like, we're not staying there. There's no reason to go there.
Right.
It's exactly the opposite. The goal is that we have, something great to give to the local community. And I think once you come out once, it's going to be a staple on your list of places to go and things to do. So just come out once. Give us a shot. I promise we won't disappoint.
For me, I would say just allow yourself to be surprised, especially if you're a local clientele. I'm here for maybe 3 years or so, 2.5 years. I think I'm in the city, and And I have friends, obviously, and so on. But whenever I took this position, my friends were like surprised that I left restaurants to come here. And I invited them to come in, and they're just one of my closest friends. He brings his date here once a month now, over at Jackrabbit. And it's like, allow yourself to be surprised. We're working on some really cool stuff.
Yeah. And I would say other than the thought and the elevation in the food, there's also a lot of thought put into the space itself.
Absolutely.
So like just the way like your things are presented, like the feel, the vibe, like it's not what you'd expect from, say, a water park.
100%.
Right?
And that speaks to, what I was saying about us compared to, our comp set, which is, our goal was to be that step above. Our goal was to be modern and fresh and not feel like what you typically feel when you go into a water park resort.
Yeah. Okay, where can people find out about college night that I can't go to?
OkanaResort.com is where everything lives, and that will also guide you to the boardwalk directly, which gives you all of the different promotions. But same on our offers and events page on the website, you can find our Valentine's Day special. You can find all of the different events and promotions we have going on. So always check us out, and our menus are live on the website as well. So come check us out.
Nice.
And our social media accounts as well.
Yeah.
We have Bullseye, Curveball Kitchen, Smokehouse Social, and Okana on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So come follow us.
Yeah, check out all the creations.
Yeah.
And Chef, do you have a page or anything you want to promote or?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
But like, don't follow me. I do random things.
He does make quite a few appearances on our social media.
I have enough of those. Yes, if you please follow those.
And while you're out there following Okana and all the concepts, follow the Foodcast as well, OKC Foodcast. And again, a quick thank you to our sponsor, Walt 405, for sponsoring the pod and providing us such a great space. If you're looking for a day, a week pass, a desk, office, a shared space, check out Wall 405 here in downtown Edmond, and you won't be disappointed. Thanks again for coming on the pod and spending time with me and chatting. And this was a lot of fun. I love hearing kind of the stories and everything that goes on behind the scenes. So this was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. And until next time, eat well and be happy.